All right, awesome. So, welcome everyone to the day 4 of our program. And our first speaker is Reinhold Steinbeck, who is a managing director into Actions, which is a global innovation and leading design firm that helps organizations in education, business, government, and the social sector build strategic innovation capacity through human-centered design. Prior to that, Reinhold has been teaching design innovation at Stanford University for over 12 years. He was an instructor of global design innovation program at Stanford. For over 20 years, he has worked in the intersection between technology, innovation, and education. He worked at Apple, where he worked with the Apple Advanced Technology Group under Dan Norman, one of the original developer of the user-centered design. In addition, Reinhold has taught design thinking and directed research studies in innovation university in Brazil, Chile, Colombia, and Switzerland. He led the Stanford Continuing Studies Program's DSN 310 Building Innovating Team. So without further delay, over to you.
Thank you, Blas. Good morning, everyone. And I think for some of you, it's good evening. Is that correct?
For all of us.
Yes, yes, the majority.
All of you. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I understand that there are some people also some participants from Brazil. Is that correct?
So yeah, we had some, the majority are from Egypt right now.
Okay, from Egypt. Wonderful. Delighted to be with you this morning for an hour. And I have a couple of things to share with you. I'd like to make it very interactive and also encourage you to ask questions, make comments, to really have this more like a dialogue. So let me just bring the slides up. And can you see them?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So this is me building innovative teams, Reinhold Steinbeck. And that's the company that I have started with a couple of colleagues about 10 years ago in Brazil. It's an innovation consultancy. And as Blas mentioned, I've been working with this company mostly in South America, but also a couple of projects in Europe and in Asia. So for the first activity, I like to get people exercise their creative muscle, because this is all about innovation and creativity. So don't be shy. I really appreciate if you participate in these activities. So what you need for the next activity, it's a short one, is pen and paper. So does everyone have pen and paper close by? Ready? Excellent. Ahmed, Iman, appreciate that. So here is the activity. You have 3 minutes to complete this drawing. That's the only instructions you get. And you got to start now. 3 minutes to complete this drawing. 3 minutes, counting now. Go for it. Oops. Oh, you're doing it. Okay. I want you, sorry, the instructions were not clear maybe. I want you to use a piece of paper and do it individually. So this is an individual activity. And just use a piece of paper. So yes, excellent. Whoever deleted that was good. So I'll give you 1 extra minute, 3 minutes. Use an individual piece of paper. This is an individual activity, and paper and pen, and complete this drawing.
All right, I think 3 minutes have lapsed.
I'll give him a little 30 seconds more. Okay, let's stop here. And what I would like you to do now is, hang on, oops, what just happened?
I think you just stopped sharing.
Yeah. There you go. So what I want you to do, I need some volunteers and share your drawing with the group. Put it in front of the camera and share it as close as possible. Okay. We have a light bulb. That's very appropriate. Heba, thank you. Who else wants to share? A heart. Okay. We all need a lot of heart in this world these days. Ah, I like that. A flower. Yara, yes. Anyone else? Don't be shy. Hejam, no? Okay, a heart. Let's move on. The reason why I want to do these
Reinhold, we still don't see your screen.
Oh, the screen, the slides.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine because I disabled them.
Okay, go
on purpose. The reason why I do these exercises is as adults, we lose the ability to be creative. And if you think about children are so incredibly creative. And that is the reason why it's very important for us adults to practice being creative. It's not always easy, especially when you are in a group, but that's why I do these exercises. So over the next 50 minutes, 45 minutes, I want to address creative problem solving, a framework. I want to share a framework with you. I also want to share a longitudinal study on creativity with you and have you have a discussion with your peers around this. We'll talk about psychological safety and team effectiveness using a Google study. What's very important about building innovative teams is this concept of key teams. And equally important when you think about building innovative teams, creativity, we also want to encourage the team members to prototype as much as possible. That's why we focus a lot on building to think. And then finally, I'll want to open up the session for some comments and questions. So what I'm sharing with you today is based on a course that I was co-teaching with a colleague of mine from Stanford University. And the course really focused exclusively on how to build innovative teams, how to bring the Stanford way of innovation, the Stanford design way to you, to groups, to companies. And some of the topics, as you can see in the bottom, some of the topics that we address in this program, in this course is how do you create learning a culture? We'll talk a lot about collaborating versus coordinating. There is quite a difference. Why build to think? And then also the notion that all design, all creativity, or all design, all innovation is really redesign. you're never really finished. You really want to continue in the process. The other part that this presentation is based on is a program at Stanford University. It's called ME310. It's the flagship innovation program at Stanford University, where students at Stanford work with students in other countries over 9 months, finding a solution to a challenge that a company presents to the students. And they use a lot of teamwork, globally distributed, and they also learn about and implement the Stanford Design Innovation Framework and process to come up with these solutions. How is my English? Can anyone understand?
Yeah.
Good. So another activity, I would like you to, again, individual, that's an individual task. I want you to take 3 minutes. I might cut it short, 2 minutes, pen and paper, and I want you to create a visual representation or a diagram of your problem-solving process. How do you solve problems? Please don't write any text. I want you to really be visual. So 3 minutes on a piece of paper, I want you to create a visual representation or a diagram of your problem-solving process. Go for it. And again, you don't need to be Picasso. That's not the objective here. Two more minutes. One more minute. Okay, let's wrap this up. And Vlas, can you, I don't think I have the ability right now to create breakout rooms.
Yep.
Can you create breakout rooms?
Yep.
In groups of 3?
Yeah, let me just quickly, let me see. Yeah. Asta, can you make me a host, please? Yeah, just 1 second.
So what before you put them into the breakout rooms, what I want you to do in this group for 3 minutes, I want you to share your visual representation with your partner. And I want you to discuss similarities or differences. Okay. Ready, Vlas?
Just 1 second. I think I'm a co-host, and I think they changed the ability of co-host to actually manage that. Oops. Just 1 second.
Well, I can't do it on my end.
Yeah. Maybe we can just start with discussion here, and then we just give me a second.
Okay. So what I would like you to do is I'm going to stop sharing, and what I would like you to do is I need some volunteers, and again, as we did before, I want you to share your visual representation. Any volunteers? Heba? Okay. Can you say something about that?
I was trying to find, yeah, I found it. Okay, so basically
show it again.
All right. So it's sort of like a workflow. So it starts off with like a bunch of questions in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like a magnifying glass. So I kind of like zoom in on each of these questions. This is like a deep dive. It's sort of like the same thing, but again, like a third step. So I deep dive into trying to find the root cause, or, to understand more about that. And then from that, I get multiple like solutions or, scenarios that I can proceed with. And then I tend to stack them up. So this is like a structure. So
Right.
In order to come up with the final outcome, it has to be like stacked up.
Excellent. Thank you, Heba.
Welcome.
Who else wants to share his or her visual
Okay,
representation?
I'm sharing this if you can see it.
Can you put it a little bit closer to the camera?
Yes, sure. I'm not sure if it is prorated, I think.
Yeah.
But
It's because of your digital background.
okay. No, it's okay. I can
good.
remove it. One moment. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's the same like Heba just mentioned. It's like a flow diagram. After it starts with identifying the problem, what the problem is, and then start gathering some data about the problem and what might be the root cause for this problem. And based on this data, we start making a data analysis process. And from this analysis, we come up with alternative solutions, more than one solution for this problem, and we choose one to implement. And after implementing the solution, it comes with a feedback loop for the problem to check if it's fixed or we need more data or dig deeper to go through the same flow or not.
Excellent. Thank you, Mohammed. Okay, one more volunteer, please.
Okay, yes, it's almost the same, I guess.
Okay.
It's starting by identifying the problem, then analyzing, then going with the possible solutions, and finally selecting the most convenient solution for the problem.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you all. So let me get back to the slides. It sounds like you all have had some training, maybe in design thinking. Is that correct? Have you heard about design thinking? You must have. You probably use it. Anyone?
Yeah, I can see some nodding heads.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So the framework that we use, which is also based on the research at Stanford, is the following. And again, we're talking about innovative teams. How can you create a culture for innovation amongst teams? And the framework that we use is this kind of diagram. You have on the left side, you have the problem space. On the right side, you have the solution space. We live in the concrete world down here, and then we do a lot of thinking, brainstorming, analyzing, and this is the abstract world. So on the left side, it's really discovering the right problem to solve, as some of you mentioned. What is the problem and why is it a problem? Not only problem, but also opportunity. And on the right side, we focus on the solution space, discover the best solution to solve the problem, and how do we do that? So this is not a linear process. It's also not necessarily a circular process. Sometimes it's kind of very ambiguous. One more thing I want to point out, starting in the lower left triangle, it's the discover phase, as you pointed out. We are in the real world. We want to kind of understand the problem in the real world. We focus on the problem. Then we move into the abstract world where we try to define what is the problem. We connect the dots. We organize groups. We find trends. We find patterns. And very important with innovation is that we always try to do that within the context of the user's needs. Then we move over to the solution space. So we have identified what is the real problem. Then we move over into the solution space and we start developing solutions, alternative solutions, as some of you mentioned. This is still kind of the brainstorming that is going on in our head. And then we use prototypes to go from the abstract world into the real world to get some feedback as we test the service or the product or whatever solution that we have created. Quite often, one of the biggest problems that teams do or individuals is they go from the initial intent to solve a problem, they jump directly to brainstorming, to developing solutions, or even worse, they might say, oh, that is the problem, I have a solution, and they go directly to delivering a solution without really understanding the problem space. As you know, and as the two things that are absolutely crucial in any kind of innovation process is understanding the problem space and really defining the problem within a human-centered context. And the second, so you want to spend a lot of time here. The second important aspect about innovation within groups is you want to do a lot of iterative prototyping. Really using your ideas that you have come up with and testing them in the real world to get feedback. Now, I want to ask you, if you think about these 4 triangles, the discover phase, the define, where you define the problem, where you develop the solutions, and then where you deliver a real solution, meaning you turn your ideas into a prototype, what are the kinds of skills and mindsets needed for this kind of innovation process? Any thoughts?
Analytical thinking.
Analytical thinking. Where would you see analytical thinking being a priority?
Priority or location position.
Well, if you look at the four triangles, which triangle do you think is requiring especially analytical thinking?
Define.
Yeah. Great. What kinds of skills and mindsets do you need in the discover phase?
Observing, monitoring.
Absolutely, yes. Anyone else?
I don't know, open-minded, that you don't.
Yeah, that's a fantastic mindset. I like that. Yes. Great. So how about in the develop phase? What kinds of skills and mindsets would support the brainstorming and the develop aspect or phase of the innovation process?
I don't know. Testing, experimenting.
Experimenting, yes, yes.
I can say also logical thinking and being target oriented to reach an objective.
Yeah. And finally, in the deliver phase, if you think about taking ideas into a prototype, what kinds of skills do you want?
Drive.
Drive, yes.
And maybe smart measuring for the delivery.
Yeah, yeah. So
sort of awareness, yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. The point I want to make here is that when you think about the innovation process and when you think about innovative teams, you have to be able to support different skills and mindsets in your team. You cannot only have analysts on your team and then assume that they will all be able to come up with innovative solutions. You should not, and you cannot have just ethnographers who are really good observers. You cannot only have people who are great brainstormers. They come up with quick and crazy ideas. That's an important skill to have, incredibly important, but you have to make sure that the other mindsets and skills for the innovation process are also covered. So as you think about putting together innovative teams, diversity is the key. And you really need to think about what are the different skills for which part of the innovation process. Now, the name of the company that we founded, Into Actions, our slogan is turning insights into actions. So turning insights is really understanding the problem, connecting the dots, redefining the problem in a human-centered way. And then into actions means you've got to be, now you got to act on what you were able to identify, and you need to come up with lots of ideas, and you need to be able to turn these ideas into a physical prototype that makes your ideas kind of tangible. So those are the kinds of different skills and mindsets that you need to be aware of as you put together innovative teams. As you hear and learn about design thinking and innovative teams, there are lots of different frameworks out there. There are lots of tool kits available. The ones that I have found most valuable over the years are the Design Thinking Toolbox, written by Larry Leifer, who is one of the professors at Stanford University, and also Vijay Kumar. Vijay is a professor at the Institute of Design in Chicago. And I have them here. This, for example, it's a really great book, has lots of, here we go, has lots of different tools and techniques that allow you and your team to really think about how to solve challenges in an innovative way. So I'm going to do a time check. It's 8:34. Now I want to share with you a little bit about creativity.
مين الناس
And-
الشاطرة؟ إمام ومدحت.
Say that again.
No, I think it was a mistake.
Okay.
You can go.
Okay, so now I want to share with you a longitudinal study that has been conducted a couple of years ago, but it still has a lot of valid points. And it basically shows what happens to children as they move through the educational system, and also what happens to adults. It's a longitudinal study that was conducted between 1973 and 1985. Longitudinal study means the same group of students were tested on their creative skills at age 5, 10, and 15 years old, the same group. And then the researchers also tested adults, 280,000 adults at the age of 25 years. The criteria that the researchers used for testing creativity was the following: the ability to think divergently, which means to explore and create many possible ideas. The test that they used was based on a test that the American National Association of Space, National or NASA. I'm sure you know NASA. I can't remember the acronym right now. I think it's National Aeronautics Space Agency, something like that. So 5 years, this is a typical classroom for elementary students. As the students were tested on creativity, they came very close to 100%. Fantastic. I also want you to look at the space. At age 10, when they moved beyond elementary school, as they were tested on creativity, it went down below 50%. And here we are in high school. I still see a lot of schools like this. Fortunately, some schools and also universities have over the time created much better learning spaces. But sadly, I still see a lot of learning spaces like this. And this is at age 15, the same group, pretty low. I think it's around 5%. And then what do you think happens to the adults? The adults,
Nothing good.
more disappointing. So here you have the percentages. Again, the ability to think divergently. Kindergarten students, 98%, middle school, 30%, high school, 12%, and us adults, 2%. I sure hope that this study would look a little bit more encouraging if we were able to do it again. But what I want you to discuss in groups of 3, if we have the ability to create
Yes, we do.
breakout rooms. So let's do breakout rooms of 3, and maybe not every group will have 3. I want you to spend 4 minutes, and I want you to talk about what happened during the education years to the students. And then I also want you to think about how can we change that? Okay, I'll give you 4 minutes. Let's create.
Okay,
the
I'm
rooms.
opening the rooms. So
Great.
so please join to your rooms.
I don't see the rooms, Blas. So
Yeah,
can you make sure that each room has at least 2 people?
Yeah. And I mean, you are in the room 3.
Well, I'm going to stay here. So.
Please join your respective rooms. Hi, hello. We're just doing a quick internal exercise describing something. So the people are in the groups right now.
Okay, sorry for being late. I was stuck in the meeting. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that never happens to any of us, being stuck in the meetings. No, it's all good. It's all good. Reinhold just showed how creativity goes down with time, and then the environment that the people are in. Yeah.
So this is May. Are you joining a group?
Yeah, I'm just joining now.
No.
I'm trying to recap.
Yeah, I think. Yep. Look at that.
And Hala, do you want to join a group?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. So the question was, what happened? And then the second question was, how can you change that trend?
Okay.
All right, I assigned it to one of the groups. Okay, I think we have 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm gonna be closing the rooms because then they will have a minute
1
to come
minute,
back.
right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so in that way they're gonna be back.
Okay, thanks.
So. Oops, all right. All right, they should be back in about 60 seconds.
Thank you, Blas.
Yeah, we're probably not gonna go through all of that.
No. I know that, and I always have options.
Recorded.
Welcome back, everyone. Can one person from each group, can you share with the entire group what you discovered during your discussions? So what happened and how can we change that?
I think we can go first.
Okay, Eba, yeah.
Yeah, so basically it was a very interesting discussion. We talked about what happened in terms of in terms of the physical setup. So this one was very clear from the beginning, how you looked at the classroom at the beginning and then how it progressed with time. So one was basically introducing a lot of interaction between the kids, lots of creative stuff across the wall. So this was one aspect. The second thing that we mentioned was also how with age, you start having a curriculum and it's a sort of like a roadmap that's set for you that you have to follow. And with that, you start feeling that there are lots of limitations and there are also rules that you become aware of. So these are one of the things that tend to hinder creativity with time. And in terms of how this could be possibly reduced, I mean, it's all about the limitations and having like a free mindset. And I think this was one thing that was mentioned at the very beginning in terms of how unicorn startup is that they have the luxury of failing. So it's, it's like you're not afraid to test out things, to experiment and to be curious. And accordingly, you become more creative in the process. So that's just a recap. And of course, the team could tell me if I missed out on anything.
Thank you, Haba. Yeah, that was excellent. Any additional comments, either from Heba's group or from another group?
No, I think Heba summarized a lot from what we discussed as well. Is the idea of the limitations that you already gain by time due to surroundings, others' experiences, your experiences. All of such ideas is performing a borders or limitations that minimize the free way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yes, the crossing such borders or limitation ideas definitely will widen the creativity board.
Right.
Okay, from our side, we have the same thoughts as Heba mentioned. We thought the reason maybe because as we grow up, things become more practical and becomes more educational step by step, and you have a specific curriculum to follow and procedures to follow. So you follow the procedures you learn as we go up, and for the solution is become more free to experiment new things with high probability to fail and low risk. The less risk you have to fail and the less fear you have to fail will allow you to experiment new things and new innovative things as well.
Great, thank you, Mohammed. Was there another group, or have we covered all the groups?
Yes, our group as well, plus or minus the same. The first of all, the more interactions and exposure the kids have, different teachers, different schools and kids, etc. Another point is the challenges we face as we grow up that limit our dreams, that limit our plans. This is doable. No, we can do this. Being more realistic and limiting the experiments that we do based on our experience that we face as we grow up. The third point actually is not a point of the reason, but we were challenging why grown-ups are not creative. We believe we are still creative.
Yeah, I think it's very challenging to create a culture in an organization, in an adult organization, where people feel as free as little children to be creative, and that is the challenge. So as you think about how can we build not only innovative teams but also a larger innovative learning culture, it's not easy. It requires top-down support and encouragement and bottom-up interest and experience. And so I want to share with you a study by Amy Edmondson. Amy Edmondson is a professor at the Harvard Business School, and she came up with the concept of psychological safety, to some extent also known as trust. You trust others, you feel comfortable in that team environment. And I will share the slides with you, and I really encourage you to Google Amy Edmondson, and these findings that I'm sharing with you now are from a talk that she gave at the Stanford Medical School, and it's an opening keynote address from 2018. And it's I think it's 15 minutes long, but it's really an amazing talk that summarizes the concept of psychological safety and how critical it is to have psychological safety in teams in order to support the innovative, creative approach. So one of the things that Amy says in her talk is that none of us wants to look ignorant, incompetent, intrusive, or negative. We don't want to do that, right? And if you don't want to do that in a team setting, what do? How do you avoid coming across as ignorant, coming across as incompetent, coming across as intrusive, or coming across as negative? Well, it's actually very easy. If you don't ask questions, no one will know that you are ignorant. If you don't admit weakness, no one will challenge you about you not being competent. You know, if you don't offer ideas, then you don't interrupt the process. And if you don't critique the status quo, then you're not coming across as negative. So quite often, this is what happens in teams, you know, and I'm including myself, we're always very much aware, should I ask this question? If I ask these questions, how do I come across? If I share this idea, will people think I'm crazy because it's a ridiculous idea, it's too simplistic, or it's too radical? So all these behaviors really keep innovation down. So there was a wonderful project at Google, Project Aristotle, and over 2 years, Google was trying to find out what makes a successful, what makes a Google team effective? What are the characteristics of the most effective teams at Google? And what they found out supports Amy Edmondson's theory of psychological safety. And psychological safety was the most important characteristic for innovative teams, more important than dependability. Team members get things done on time and meet Google's high bar for excellence. More important than structure and clarity, so team members have clear roles and plans and goals. More important than, is this job meaningful to the team members? And also more important than impact. All these things are crucial for making a team innovative, but the most important was psychological safety. So
very insightful and meaningful, by the way.
yeah, and I'll share with you the resources for this, because I find this very exciting. So we have a few more minutes left. So what was not important was whether the teammates were co-located or in the same room, the workload size, seniority, team size, all these elements were not significant in terms of supporting psychological safety, which ultimately helps teams to be incredibly innovative. So the 4 stages of psychological safety are, you want to feel included, so inclusion safety. You want to feel safe to learn, and there has to be an emphasis on learning. So not only on final outcome, but really also on learning. You need to feel safe to contribute. and you need to feel safe to challenge the status quo. This is a nice little handout that gives you a couple of tips how you can create psychological safety in your team. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen easily in a vacuum. You need a larger culture around the team in order to support this. So the top levels are, you need to demonstrate engagement, you need to show understanding, and this is not only for the team leader, but for all the participants. You need to be inclusive in interpersonal settings, you need to be inclusive in the decision-making process, and you need to show confidence and conviction without appearing inflexible. I want to close this by sharing with you 3 things that Amy Edmondson emphasizes in her talk. First, acknowledge your limits. Say and admit that I need to hear from you. I'm new to this role. I don't know everything. I'm not an expert in this. You know, as a leader, you need to show that you are not, you know, a genius in every aspect. You know some things, but some things you don't know. So acknowledge that and ask other people to help you. This is a top interest of mine, the ability to ask good questions. You really need to learn, especially when it comes to the innovation process and understanding a problem, to ask good questions. You need to broaden the discussion, and there are lots of questions that help you to do that. What do others think? What are we missing? What other options could we consider? And you need to think about questions that deepen the discussion. The book that I use a lot when I work with teams is called The Book of Beautiful Questions. It really helps you to understand what are some questions that help you to decide, make decisions, to be creative, to connect with others, or to lead an organization or a team. I can highly recommend this book. And the final point that Amy Edmondson drives home is acknowledge the messengers, embrace the messengers. You know, if someone asks you a question, or if someone is pointing out a problem, say, you know, thank you, this is very important, because then you create an atmosphere of trust. When you get the slides, you will also get the link to this website, Google Rework, that has a lot of research, including what I shared with you about how to build innovative teams and how to create an innovative learning culture. So we have 5 minutes left, and I want to just open up the discussion. If you have any questions or comments related to what I have shared with you, I have so many more things to share with you, but an hour is pretty short. And I always want to have some activities that really remind us that we have to practice creativity, but also to reflect on what supports innovation and what hinders innovation. So if you have a few questions, we have 3 more minutes.
I have a question. How can we practice creativity? Is this possible?
Yes. The good thing about creativity is you can learn it, and you have to practice it on a regular basis. You need to be in a group, in a team, in a larger organization that encourages you to be creative. And again, psychological safety is critical. So if you are in a team meeting, you need to have a culture where people feel absolutely comfortable to ask questions, to propose ideas, to listen, to feel included. The things I shared with you before. And if you go to the website Rework and you look at that list of how to create psychological safety, there are some specific ideas how you can support a culture of psychological safety, which in turn supports creativity.
Thank
Any
you.
other question? Thank you, Ahmed. Questions, comments, doubts? Okay. Well, here is my email address, steinbeck@intoactions.com. I will share the slide set with you. I encourage you to visit the research website that Google put together. And also, I really encourage you to watch Amy Edmondson's video. It really is a good realization how you can support building and maintaining, supporting an innovative, creative team. So with that, I want to thank you for inviting me to share this with you. And I wish you a good remaining couple of days with your program. And maybe we'll hear from each other. If you send me any email, I'm happy to respond to your questions. So thank you very much.
Renaud, one question. The Amy video is on the YouTube?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
The link is in the slides.
Okay. Okay.
You
So
will find quite a few resources, because Amy Edmondson is one of the top researchers around psychological safety, especially with teams and organizations.
Yes, I found it. Yes, it's
Good.
3 minutes, right? It's a short one. It's a bigger one.
There are quite a few. The one I like is
Yeah.
the one I shared with you during the presentation.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very
Thank you.
much, and
Thank you.
have a wonderful.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rahel. All right. So